Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm here, it's Saturday night. Wow, have Saturday nights changed. Uh, Thinking back over the years, did I think on a Saturday night I'd be sitting here recording content for YouTube? Probably not, but here we are. So what I feel kind of called to share and talk about today is around this feeling of stuckness. I think many of us experience this feeling that we're standing still and that we're not moving forward perhaps as we should. We feel kind of stationary, and as a result of that, we can feel kind of stifled and frustrated because here's the thing, we as human beings have this innate need to grow, right? It's one of the reasons that we are here on this planet, to learn, to grow and evolve. And when we feel that we're not growing or our growth is being stifled, we will feel this sense of stuckness, and you'll feel kind of frustrated as if things aren't moving forward or progressing as you perceive they should. And this is really, really common, but we often don't think about the cost of staying stuck, because we kind of tell ourselves these lies that, oh, it's fine, everybody feels this way, that's just life. Everybody feels frustrated, has a bit of a moan, you hate your job, it's kind of, it's stifling you. You've got a paycheck, you could feel stifled around, maybe your relationship, or maybe with your friendship circles, or perhaps it's towards some of your goals or aspirations. This feeling of frustration, if you feel that right now, that is an invitation to look within, because our bodies are always communicating with us, and what your body is trying to do when you feel this, rather than ignore it and put it down to, oh, everybody feels this way, it's an invitation to look within, because actually there is an area in your life that you are meant to grow through, and perhaps you are keeping yourself stuck. Not perhaps. The only person keeping you stuck is, in fact, you, which I find sometimes quite challenging and difficult to accept, because, it's easier to blame our circumstances. It's easier to be like, oh, well, my boss never gave me the promotion, or, my family member didn't do the thing that they were meant to, or, my goals aren't possible because I need the resources, or I haven't got the time. It feels easier for us to blame factors outside of ourselves. And the only person that actually hurts, this is the thing about being human. We're kind of wired with these imperfect traits. And one of our imperfect traits is this kind of voice in our head that is justifying why we should remain stuck. So it's almost like, okay, I don't have the time, right? Us, tell ourselves that lie, and then we believe that lie, and, probably subconsciously when you dig deeper, it is a lie, but at the moment it's presenting itself as truth. So you or we genuinely believe this voice in our head that's keeping us stuck is true, right? And it's not until one, you become aware of that voice, and then two, question it, to understand whether it really is true. Because actually you'll find normally that voice that's trying to keep you small and trying to keep you safe, the negative voice, like, you're not ready yet, you don't have all the resources, you need more time, you haven't met the right people, all these things that we tell ourselves, we don't realize that's our subconscious brain, and it's trying to keep us safe. It's hardwired for safety. The truth is, there is another voice inside your head, and this is your intuition. This is your true self. This is the resourceful, infinitely powerful part of yourself that truly does know, one, the answers, and two, the next steps. So when you think about this stuckness, right, it is actually an illusion that you're stuck, because although you might feel like you're stuck, because this voice is telling you you're stuck, the true, authentic, core essence of you knows the answers and knows the next steps. So what do you need to do to get to that? Right? So once you understand that the only person that's blocking you is you need to understand what is this voice, one, telling you, and two, you have to treat that almost as evidence. It's imagine you're like an FBI agent, right? And somebody tells you you don't have the time, right? Or I didn't have the time to commit that crime, or I didn't have the time to shoplift from the store. What does the FBI do? They're going to question it. They're going to question the person. They're going to ask for an alibi. They're going to ask what they did throughout the day. They're going to ask, their timings. It's the same kind of process that we should or can use with ourselves. So almost imagine when you hear that voice, what would the FBI say? Would they question it? What kind of questions would they ask? And how would they uncover if it is true or not? Because once you get to the bottom of that, you will find the true root of what is keeping you stuck. And then when you find out what is keeping you stuck, you can then allow that feeling to come through. So perhaps you are afraid of rejection. You are afraid of failure. You're afraid of embarrassment. You're afraid of ridicule. Whatever it is, once you bring awareness to that, you can allow that to sit in you, sit within, and sit with that feeling, right? And that can feel quite uncomfortable, right? To sit with a feeling like, I am afraid of failure. Just tell yourself that. I am afraid of failure. I'm afraid of embarrassment. I am afraid of being ridiculed. Okay. Can you almost imagine, when you say those things, can you almost imagine it like a passing cloud? So you can say that, right? I'm afraid of failure. You can acknowledge it. You can look up in the sky and see that there's these clouds there. But guess what? They will pass. So you can acknowledge that. You can acknowledge that cloud is there. But it doesn't mean it's always going to be there. It depends how windy it gets. Perhaps it's going to blow right through, and I would hazard a guess that it will. And then the sunshine might come out. The clouds might come back. This is the thing. It's not always going to be a clear sky. It's not always going to be a clear sky. These thoughts or these fears will pass through your mind. They will pass through your mind just like clouds pass through the sky. But notice the importance of the word pass. It never stays cloudy forever. Or maybe in Scotland it stays cloudy for a long time. But it never stays cloudy forever. The clouds do pass. A storm does pass. And then what comes after? The sunshine. So it's the same with our fears. Yes, we can acknowledge it. We can see that it's there. But then imagining it like a cloud, know that this too will pass. Because once you acknowledge that the fears are there, it doesn't mean that you can't take action and still have that fear present. It doesn't mean you can't go out for a walk while the clouds are there, right? It doesn't mean you can't, do anything just because it's cloudy. You can still take action even when it's cloudy, right? And I think that's the importance, really, is the observing, but then taking action. So when you think about where you are feeling stuck, just take a moment to think about what area of your life is stifling you at the moment. And what do you envisage in the future? Because I truly believe that if something is in your heart and soul, it's because you are there to fulfill that, right? It wouldn't be in here. It wouldn't be a dream. It wouldn't be an aspiration. It wouldn't be a goal if it were not meant to be yours. So think about the version of you that you want to become, the version of your life that you want to be living. And then, and when I say envisage it, don't just think about it for a second and then that's it, right? Think about it, but feel it too. Feel that. Sometimes I do this stuff, without sounding super woo-woo, but it's visualizing. You can almost visualize what you are becoming or what you want. And you can also visualize not just how you will be or how you'll interact when you're in that life, but also how that version of you feels. So how does he or she feel? So think about that for a moment. That future version of yourself, how does he or she feel? Perhaps they feel calm. Perhaps they feel excited. Perhaps they feel present, fulfilled. Take a moment to think about that future you, because you have it in here. That future version of you, you're meant to become them. But take a moment to think about who you are becoming. And really, don't just see yourself, feel who you are. Feel those emotions. Feel what it will be like to wake up as this version of you. Feel it. And then what we need to do is understand the gap, right? What is the discrepancy between the version of you today and the version of you that you want to be? What is stopping you from being that version? And not just being that version, having the things or the people or the relationships or, it can be material, it doesn't have to be. What is stopping you, one, being that version of yourself, but also having those things, people, resources, time, whatever it is that you desire? What is actually stopping you from being that person? And you may say, well, money is stopping me, or I haven't met the right person yet, or all my friends kind of suck, right? Remember, your outer reality is just a reflection of your inner world. So if you aren't that version of you that you want to be yet, it's because you've not become them. There is something right now in your reality that you need to address. And you know it too, because you feel stuck, you feel frustrated, you feel like you're not moving forward, you feel like there's no progress. And actually, this is the thing. We talk about the cost of moving forward and the cost of growing, right? Opportunity cost, right? We always think, okay, what's the opportunity? What could it cost you? So the opportunity when it comes with growth, right, is that you will become the version of yourself. That's the opportunity. You can become the version of yourself that you foresee inside your heart. However, what's the cost? The cost is, right now, you need to make a decision. or you need to take an action, or you need to take a step that is super, super uncomfortable for you. And it's hard. It feels like a hard decision right now. It feels difficult, right? But again, okay, that thing that you know subconsciously that you need to do, what is it going to cost you to become and realize the opportunity? Opportunity cost. Remember, every action has a consequence. So by you choosing to take no action, that's still a choice. And that choice of deciding to take no action has a consequence. Remember the saying, and it's not mine, but it's powerful. What you do not change, you are choosing. What you do not change, you are choosing. So right now, and this might be triggering as hell, I know it is for me when I have to do this work for myself. Because remember, I'm not all high and mighty and have it all figured out. Everybody's on their own growth journey. But taking that accountability for where you are in your life right now is down to you. What do you need to change? What do you need to change? So we talked about the opportunity cost of becoming this version of yourself. But what is the cost of inaction? What is the cost of doing nothing? What is the cost of not changing? Are you going to feel like this in 6 months? A year? 2 years from now? How long are you going to let it go on? How much of your life are you going to allow yourself to feel stuck? Because remember, opportunity cost. So if it takes you 6 months to take the action, or another year, what is the cost of you not making the decision or taking the action now? That 6 months or a year of your life that you're missing out on becoming that version of you. You're stalling yourself. Think of all the amazing feelings, emotions, experiences, people that you are blocking entering your life because you're telling yourself that it's easier to do nothing. I'm telling you, that is the biggest lie. Biggest lie. You might feel that it's easier to do nothing now. You might feel it's easy. But actually, if it was easy, you wouldn't be feeling frustrated and you wouldn't feel stuck. You might have heard that saying, easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. And I share that quote because it's true and it's powerful. The lie that we tell ourselves is that it's easier now to do nothing. It's easier not to say anything. It's easier not to put a head above the parapet, have the hard conversation, to walk away from a job, a relationship, a friendship. Whatever we're telling ourselves is easier right now is actually making your life hard. Because there's a reason you're watching this video. You're watching this video because you feel frustrated and you feel stuck. And that's hard, right? And you have to wake up every single day feeling the weight of that. The weight of that is causing you to feel down. It's causing you to feel frustrated. It's causing you to project, actually, as well. Because this is the thing. When we're not taking action for ourselves, we feel disempowered. We feel that we do not have power. We feel that we are powerless. But we're giving our power away. Because we have it in here. But we're giving it away. So what we do is, not meaning to, but we kind of look at ourselves as a victim. I'm a victim of my circumstance. This is just how it is for me. And then what do? We project that out onto other people or other things. It's my boss's fault I've not had the promotion. It's, my friend's fault that we're not talking as much. It's my partner's fault that we're not where we want, I want us to be yet. We project that out onto others because of the feelings that we have inside of us. We're frustrated, not with everybody else. We're frustrated with ourselves because actually we know that we are keeping ourselves stuck. Subconsciously, we might tell ourselves it's not us. We might tell ourselves it's, everything outside of us. But somewhere in your subconscious, you know that you are keeping yourself stuck and you are frustrated at you. You're frustrated at yourself. And look, I know that's hard. And I know that's hard to hear or listen to. But the good news is you have a choice. You could have been feeling stuck for 3 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years. The good thing is about growth is you can decide to change now. You don't need to wait. You don't need to wait for external validation, permission. You can decide to change now. Because ask yourself, what is the cost of not changing? What is the cost of staying stuck? What is the cost of doing nothing? And that's a hard question, right? Because you'll probably find that the cost of doing nothing is way greater than the cost of doing something. But remember, you can change, and you can change now. Where do you start? So, first is the acknowledgement. So the fact that you're even here listening to this is amazing, right? Because you are acknowledging that you have been halting your own progress. You're acknowledging that, right? So that's great. You're bringing awareness to it. Awareness is always the first step. The next step is taking ownership. So where are you right now? And can you take complete ownership and accountability for where you are right now? And I'm kind of almost like, oh, I can feel that. I can feel how hard that is, right? To say to ourselves, yep, this is on me. This situation right now, that's on me. That feels hard, right? It feels hard. Like grin, bear it, accept it. Okay. I'm aware. I've taken ownership. And now, what do I need to do? What do you need to do in order to move forward? Again, imagining those clouds hanging above your head. What are the fears? What are those underlying fears? Can you make those conscious? The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of change, the fear of it not being replaced with something better. Imagine all those fears as if you're looking into the sky. You're looking into the sky and they're clouds. Okay, acknowledge them. You have those fears. You're human. We all have those fears. But we get to decide what we feed. We can feed our fear, or we can feed our goals. our aspirations, our desired outcomes. What would the version of you that you want to become do? What action would they take? What would they say? How would they approach the situation? Acknowledge the clouds, but you can decide, do I want to feed that? Or do I want to look at the sunshine? Do I want to look at the sunshine or do I want to look at the clouds? You can choose. They're all in the sky. You can choose. When you decide what you want to feed, taking the first step always feels scary because you're pushing yourself. You're stepping out of your comfort zone into what you deem as the unknown. But as you do that, you will feel this weight that you've had on your shoulders for I don't know how long start to lift. And I'm getting shivers as I say this, because although it feels difficult right now, in this very moment, it feels hard. Have you ever, just side note, have you ever had a conversation, and maybe a challenging conversation at work, where you're like, oh my God, I really don't want to have that conversation. Oh God, it's so awkward. Oh God, what will they say? How will they respond? How's it going to go? Just think of that challenging conversation for a minute, right? Because we've all had one. We've all had to have a difficult conversation, one that we dread, we put off, we procrastinate. We've all had to have one. What happens when you sit down and finally, in a calm manner, have that conversation that you've been putting off or procrastinating on, or taking an action that you've been meaning to do forever? You feel lighter. Yeah, you might not like it in the moment. It might feel uncomfortable. But actually, yeah, it might feel uncomfortable. But most of the time, it's the thought of doing something that feels more uncomfortable than actually doing it. It's the thought. It's the build-up. It's the whole Sunday night scaries. It's Sunday night feeling worse than a Monday morning. Because what feels worse is the thinking, not the doing. When we're doing, we feel proactive. We don't just feel proactive, we are proactive because we are doing something about it. The thought always feels harder than the do. So, coming back to the action that you need to take. Thinking about it might feel challenging. Probably will. It will feel tough. But remember, do more than you think. The action is the antidote, because the thought's the poison, right? Thinking about it, the only way to rid yourself of that poison is to do the do. Take the antidote. Grit your teeth. Yeah, it might be like Calpol, and you might hate, I love Calpol, but paracetamol, any kind of medicine, whatever it wants to be. It might not taste the nicest, but guess what? You always feel better. You'll always feel better afterwards. So this weight that has been on your shoulders, that has been keeping you feeling stuck, you have the ability to lift it. So awareness of the thoughts, awareness of the fears, ownership and accountability for where you are today and how you got here, and then action. And the thought is always worse than the do. When you start to take these actions that subconsciously, deep down inside, you know you need to take, you will instantly start to feel better. You will. Because we as humans are here to grow. We're meant to grow. That's why we're here. So when you feel stuck, it's because you're keeping yourself stuck. But as you start to take the action that you know that you need to take. The forward motion starts. It's almost like a train, right? It's like we've almost been trying to go with the brakes up. Do you know how hard that is? Trying to go with the brakes on. To remove the brakes, you need to take action. And when you do, the momentum will start. The wheels will start turning again. Not that they weren't, but it's much harder with the brake on. And with that, you're on the train. All you need to do is keep shoveling the coal. If you think of a steam train, or maybe if it's an electric train, press the button. I don't know how these trains work, but when you're on the train, the wheels are turning and you're continuing to take the action to keep the train going. Where are you gonna end up? Your destination, right? Your destination. You are the driver of your own train. If you're feeling stuck right now at a certain train stop, it's because you're either not putting your foot on the gas or coal in the steam train, whatever train analogy you want to think of, or you're trying to go with the brakes up or brakes on. You're stopping yourself. You're either stopping yourself or you're not going in the first place. So how do you lift the brakes? How do you start the engine or restart the engine if needed? And how do you gain the momentum? You are the driver. You are in control. You know how to drive this train. You know how to drive it. You might not like driving it. It might feel a bit challenging sometimes. All the responsibility. All the passengers on board. Making sure you get everyone there safely. Make sure you let people off at the right stops. It's a lot of responsibility. You might not always like it. But you are here to reach your destination. So, remember, you do have a choice. And everything has an opportunity cost. What is the cost of doing nothing? Because remember, the pain of inaction will always be greater than the pain of action. Inaction is always infinitely more challenging than action is. Because remember, it's not the action that's hard, it's the thought. The thought of the action is hard. And remember, thoughts are clouds. They're passing. You do know what to do. You do know the next step. And if you're watching this, it's probably a sign that now's the time. Now's the time for change. Because you deserve to be that version of you. You deserve to be him or her. You deserve to reach your destination. You're capable of reaching your destination. It wouldn't be your destination if you were not capable of reaching it. So whatever you dream about, whatever's in your heart and soul, whatever you desire, know that it can and is already yours. You just need to drive the train to the destination. Take your foot off the brakes and hit the accelerator. And don't worry about the weather. The clouds will pass. Well, I hope you have found this video useful. I will continue to do more YouTube videos as and when the notion and feeling takes me. But I hope this has been useful. I did feel quite called tonight to talk about the feeling of stuckness, because I think that's something we can all relate to, me included. And I always say this, look, it's not that I'm here and I'm perfect and I've got it all figured out. We're all on our growth journeys. We all have our own clouds. We all have our own challenges. It's how we approach them and it's how we move forward. That's what matters most, because that's our character, right? That's our character. It's fine to have clouds. It's fine to have fears. It's fine to be scared. Acknowledge it and move forward, because your actions are what define you. Well, thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you again very soon. Good night.